Good
What's
morning.
going on, man?
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. My name is Don Daniel, founder of P.I.L.L Method International, a better way to eliminate debt. And today, we're going to be talking about something that we should have been talking about a long time ago. So let me go ahead and get my camera on here online. There we go. All right, so people can see me. All right, so folks, so we're going to bring Eric up. All right, and let's see. James, how are you doing today?
I'm fantastic, brother. I'm fantastic. Good to be in your room. How you doing?
I'm doing fine, man. I'm doing fine. Listen, this is long. The subject matter today is long overdue. You know, we talk about getting the credit, business credit, and all kinds of credit, but the story is less than half told. If you can get the credit, that's great. Learning how to apply for it, learning how to qualify for it. But if you have no idea what your interest consumption is, how much interest are you paying on that credit? I don't care how much money you're making, because I'm going to show some examples of some really good deals, how people are making money, but they're paying way too much in interest on the money. So, James, do you have an opinion on that?
Uh, so I guess my opinion would be, look, I'm a business person. And so one of the things I teach people is how to manage a P&L, right? Profit and loss. And
Right.
so you got to know where every single one of your dollars goes and what your dollars are producing. So I think what you're talking about is for me, what I call hidden dollars.
Yes.
Right. That people don't know about, that they're spending or could be saving or could be earning. So I love it, man. Go ahead.
Listen, man. And what we're talking about is it's truly hidden dollars. We are taught, we are conditioned not to pay attention to those dollars. So I'm going to, let me see here. I got to get a link here for you guys. All right. So we're going to get a link here for you. And we're going to put that in the chat so that even if you don't have you want to use the link, you can go to YouTube right now, search P.I.L.L Method, and then click on the live. So you're going to be able to see these numbers as we're talking about it. But I'm going to put it also in the chat this morning. And I want to invite anybody else who wants to come to the stage this morning in Clubhouse here. And so you can enter into the conversation as well. So I'm trying to paste this link in here, but it is taking all day. Why is it taking so long? It never usually takes that long to get that link over here. So there it is. Nope, that's the wrong link. That's why it wasn't coming, because it was the wrong link. All right, so let me put the right link in, copy that to my clipboard, paste it in here. And okay, well, it's going to take me a minute. But anyway, come to the stage, everybody, and then we will go ahead and work on having you understand what's going on with paying all this debt, with paying all this interest. Can I share something with you? Because I talk to people a lot about how consumers pay interest. Okay, let me give you some stats about how consumers pay interest. The average family has at least 13 different debts. The average family has at least 13 different debts. Okay, so if the average family has 13 different debts, then, and if they're doing well financially, they're not necessarily paying attention to how much interest they're paying. But do you realize that 35 to 39% of your take-home pay is paid in interest? 35 to 39% of your take-home pay paid in interest, because we're not paying attention to interest. And so if you're looking to get business credit, and I'm not saying you shouldn't, I'm saying that there are a lot of benefits, but half the story is being told, ladies and gentlemen, just half the story. How to get it is one thing, but do you want to learn how to think like a bank? Okay, let me give you an example of thinking like a bank. May I please? And if anybody else wants to come to the stage, please do. Who is the biggest borrower in your town? I put it in the chat. Who is the biggest borrower in your town? Who borrows the most money of all the entities in your town? Talk to me. Put it in the chat. All right. And that goes for everybody who's watching us online as well. Okay. The banks. Eric Toombs says the bank. Terry Lewis says the bank. Okay. Now here's Jamon Hayes says the bank. All right. And I want to say good morning to Miss Sharon M. Jones, who's watching us on YouTube. Good morning to Strategic Secrets, who's watching us on YouTube. And listen, we're going to send that message out. I want everybody to share this out to everyone today, because we're going to be talking about some things that you're not going to hear in these rooms on Clubhouse or anywhere else. You're going to learn how to get the credit, but you must also know how to pay it back and how to think like a bank. Okay. Here's what a bank does. They borrow our money. Okay. They're borrowing our money, the depositor's money. When you read the contract, that's all they're really doing. They're saying, can we borrow the money? Borrow the money. And then what do they do with that money, ladies and gentlemen, once they borrow it? What do they do with that money? When they borrow our money, what do they do with that money? Dessalines Bank says, Citizens Bank. All right. All right. They lend it out. Okay. They lend it out and they make a lot of money with that, our money. And then what do they pay us for using our money? What do they pay us? All right. Terry Lewis says they make money on the interest. That's right. Eric Toombs says they pay us peanuts. Anybody else? What do they pay us for the use of our money? Okay. Now, I need you all to think about it. Terry Lewis says less than 1%. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy? I need you all to think about this for a minute. Who is behind the idea that cash is king and consumers ought to do more with cash and less with credit? Who's behind that education? I mean, because there are a lot of people out there teaching it. There are a lot of people online right now teaching we should do everything with cash, no credit. Credit is bad. Borrowing money is the wrong thing to do. Listen, I wonder who's behind that when we all know that success leaves footprints. Success leaves footprints. And if borrowing money was bad, there would be no banks in our towns because the system doesn't work. Well, ladies and gentlemen, obviously, borrowing money does work. Borrowing money works very well because that's what the banks do. They don't invest their own money, do they? They invest our money and they make a lot of money with it. And then they pay us pennies on the dollar for the use of it. So here's my suggestion, ladies and gentlemen. Why don't we do the same? Why don't we learn how to borrow money at a discount? Anybody want to learn how to borrow money at a discount? Put a number 9 in the chat today, right now, whether you're online, whether you are in Clubhouse. Put a number 9 in the chat if you want to learn how to borrow money at a discount and think like a bank. And also, besides Eric, can I get anybody else besides Eric to come to the stage? You don't have to say anything. If you're going to learn, if you're going to sit here and learn, why don't you just learn from the stage? By you being on the stage, raise your hand, come to the stage. By you being on the stage, guess what? Your presence invites more people in so that they can hear this information. Strategic Secrets online says number 9. Sharon Jones online says number 9. They're watching us on YouTube. I need you, people who are watching us on Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn, to do the same thing as well. Share this thing out. All right. Joseph says number 9. Dessalines says number 9. Jones says number 9. Jamon says number 9. So I'm getting ready to put some things on the screen right now, that talks about what the bank is doing. How are they making money? Ace is watching us online on YouTube. Thank you very much for being here, Ace. All right. So let me put this on the screen for everybody. And if you wish, you can go, and I'm going to put that link let me put the link back in. Let me put the link back in the chat so that you can see it. I'm going to paste it in there for you guys. All right. And there is the link for the YouTube channel. Go on a separate, and oh, by the way, when you get to YouTube, will you please subscribe, like the videos, and comment? All right, because you move us up in the algorithm and more people get this information. All right. Now, here's what you want. Here's what I want to show you right now. Okay. This is a case study. This is a real case study of a P.I.L.L method client I'm getting ready to show you right now. So we're going to put that on the screen. All right. We're going to add that. There we go. I got to change this. All right. We're going to change this and we're going to add another camera. All right. We're going to add our second camera. There we go. And boom, there we are. Okay. So this is a client has $630,000 as a mortgage, $38,000 in loans, and $20,000 in credit cards. And they do very well with their income. Okay. Their monthly income is $21,000. So they're not hurting for money. They're not hurting for money. And they do very well with paying their bills. Okay. Boom. Very well with paying their bills. So they don't mind borrowing money. And they're never late. And whenever they can, they pay stuff off on time. But why did they contact the P.I.L.L method is because of this. Once we pointed out that they owe a total of $688,000, but the bank wants them to pay $320,741 in interest on that money. Isn't that ridiculous? Okay. And guess what? When you average out the interest rate, on all the loans, on all the credit cards, it comes to 3.6%. Now, you ask any expert out there will tell you that 3.6% is cheap money. Mr. Eric Toombs, how are you doing this morning? I see you came in early. Can you speak to us this morning, or you just want to be on the stage? All right. Well, listen, when you can, jump back in there with any comments that you have. 3.6%, the experts on Clubhouse, on YouTube, anywhere else will tell you if you can borrow money at 3.6%, that's cheap money. All right.
I was trying to unmute, sir.
How you doing, Eric?
I'm doing excellent. I have to say that you've been on point lately. After that brief hiatus, you've been on point with your shows.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. All right. So, folks, here's what we're talking about. If you borrow $688,000, but the bank wants you to pay $320,000 in interest on $688,000, ladies and gentlemen, that's not 3.6%. That's over 50. That's practically 50% of the money borrowed. That is a lot of interest. So here's the crux of the matter. With understanding prepayment of principal, isolating the principal amount, leverage, and liquidity, that's the P.I.L.L method. Prepayment of principal, isolating the principal amount, leverage, and liquidity. With understanding that, this family is only going to pay $80,000 in interest. That's a $240,000 savings. That's 75% off. 75% off. And guess what? They're doing it with their current budget. The same budget they use to qualify for all of this debt is the same budget they're going to use to save interest. So here's what I need you to know. You don't need more money to get out of debt, out of business credit. Okay. What you need is to pay less interest on the money you borrowed. And here's what I am not talking about. I am not talking about trying to get a new interest rate. Interest rate is a liar in the first place, because I just pointed out that these loans averaged out are 3.6% interest. if you average them out, and they're still paying about 50% interest on the debt. So the interest rate is a liar already. What we need to focus on, ladies and gentlemen, is interest cost, interest consumption. How much interest are you consuming each month? Because I'm telling you, this method of borrowing and paying back money, we are our livelihood, our estates, the heritage that we're trying to leave our families is being siphoned off by corporations who understand how we borrow money and how they lend money and how they make money on it. So here is the point I'm trying to make today. If as consumers, we don't understand how much interest we're paying, once we go into business, it's just another way that corporations can continue to make more money. So they open up more lines of credit. So you have your personal credit, okay? And now you can open up lines of credit for your business that business credit doesn't show up on your personal credit. So you can borrow even more money based on the business. Now, I'm not saying borrowing money is wrong. I love borrowing money. I absolutely love it. Borrowing money, because you can borrow it at a discount. You can get it at 75 to 80% off. Well, if you could do that, wouldn't that be great? So now here's what the corporations are doing. They say, listen, they can only get so much personal credit and we have to cut them off. But if they open up a business, that business credit does not show up on their personal credit, and we can lend them even more money, even though their business is making money hand over fist. Their business is making money, but guess what? We get to make a ton of money off of them because they're not looking at how much interest they're paying. Look at this. Look at this. $320,000 in interest, and you're making money, but you should be paying about $80,000 in interest. That's a $240,000 interest savings. So instead of taking 27.9 years to pay off the debt, because you pay so little interest, you can literally pay off all of that debt in about 7 years, saving 20.9 years. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you can acquire the assets that you want to acquire, make the kind of money you want to make in business, and pay off the debt in about 7 years, are you not lowering your expenses? Are your expenses being lowered? Yes or no? Put a yes or no in the chat, in the comment section. Are you lowering your business expenses? And if you lower business expenses, are you not making more profit? We're going to point out today, ladies and gentlemen, that it is a big mistake. It is a huge mistake to teach people how to get business credit, but not teach them how to pay it back at a discount. Huge mistake. And I need you to listen. Everybody that's in here right now, of all the people you've heard talk about how to get business credit, how many are actually teaching you how to pay it back at a discount? How many people are teaching how to pay that money back at a discount? Put a number in the chat. Put a number in the chat. How many people are actually teaching how to pay it back at a discount? Anybody? How many people have you heard? Put it in the chat. Okay. Eric Toom says 0. Anybody else? Anybody else? Eric Toom says, of all the people that are teaching business credit, who's teaching how to pay it back at a discount so we as business people can make more money? Okay. Let me give you another example. This I got from I got from BOB, business over breakfast. I heard this guy talking about an 18% mortgage. Can you believe that? 18% mortgage? But guess what? You know what the point he was making is it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what interest rate you have as long as it makes money. And that is so true. You can make money even at a high interest rate because let me tell you, because of the situation that this particular investor was in. And this deal was a good deal on a multifamily deal. It was a multifamily and it was a good deal. But his ability to borrow money was stretched. I mean, was stretched as far as it could go. And so he had to pay a little bit extra to be able to get this loan. It's a $200,000 loan at 18%. All right. But here's what I want you to focus on before we get too deep into it. All right. At 18%, he's making $6,000 in rents on that multifamily. But even at 18% interest, do you know what the mortgage payment is? $3,000, $3,014. Can I ask you all, if you were able to get into a situation where you're making $6,000 a month in rents, but your mortgage payment was $3,000, is that a good deal? Y'all tell me, is that a good deal? Yes or no? Is that a good deal? Yes or no? I'm paying $3,000 on my loans, but I'm making $6,000 a month because of the loans. Is that a good deal? You better believe it is. You better believe it is. And so here's what we're looking at. I'm paying $3,000. But I'm making $6,000. But guess what else he was doing? Guess what else? $2,000 of that. Okay, some of it pays some taxes and insurance because you got to pay that, right? Right. Some of it pays taxes and insurance, but most of that $2,000 goes right back into investing into other properties. What a deal! We haven't even talked about how much interest he's paying yet. This is all looking at the front end. If we continue to look at the front end, we will lose out on opportunities to make even more money. Can I get some more people to come to the stage, please? Come on, raise your hand if you're here in Clubhouse. Come to the stage and let's talk about it. Well, even if you just want to listen about it. Okay. So now $2,000 is most of that $2,000 is going right back into Sharon Brooks wants to come to the stage. Is going right back into investing into other properties. Now, 16.4% of that money, about $985, they've designated to go into reserves. So if they got some reserve money, they're making money, and they're investing money. Oh my goodness, what a deal on this. But let me show you how much interest the bank wants on this loan. Over 30 years, $884,974 on a $200,000 loan. I need you all to tell me, do you believe that's too much interest? I don't care how much money you're making. Do you believe $884,000 is too much interest to pay on a $200,000 loan? You tell me. Tell me. Okay, what do you think? All right. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. How is it that we're doing? Can I show you what it looks like? I'm going to show you what this loan looks like. All right. I'm going to put it up on Brett Whistle. We're going to put in a $200,000 loan, $200,000. We're going to show you what it looks like at 18% for 30 years. And here's how it breaks down. And I can't even tell you the number of people that I've heard say, if it makes money, don't worry about paying down the mortgage. Your tenant is doing that for you. What you need to worry about is taking your money and investing it in other doors. Invest it, and you can make another 10% with that money, or 20%. Even I've heard people come back and say you can make 30% with that money if you invest it. But let me show you something here. Okay, at 18%, here's how this loan breaks down. Oh my goodness. Okay, here's how the loan breaks down. $200,000 borrowed over 30 years. The bank wants $885,000. Now, we're talking about how much the bank is making on this, and they don't manufacture anything. They don't develop new products. They don't they don't directly make medicines for us to feel better and to do better in life. They have money, our money, and their institution is they're lending out money. They're lending it out so that they can make more money. That's their function. Lending money to make more money. Do I have a problem with that? Absolutely not, because it's business. What I do have a problem with is the fact that none of us in here today, listening to me online, listening to me in Clubhouse, or listening to the replay, none of us have had a class on how the bank makes their money through interest and how we can defeat that system and do better for ourselves. None of that. We're not spending any time talking about that. So if we look at the total interest paid as a percentage of principal, $200,000, $885,000 in interest, that means that's 442.551%. Total interest paid as a percentage of principal, 442%. 442%. That is ridiculous. But it doesn't feel bad. Why? Because the loan costs $3,000 a month, but I'm making $6,000 a month because of it. So I'm willing to ignore how much interest I'm paying. Okay? So let's take a look at this thing closer. And here is why we're not taught as consumers how much interest we're actually consuming. All we're focused on is what are we getting out of the deal? Okay? That's what we're being taught. And I'm wondering who's behind the financial education out here that we are taught just to look at the front end of the loan and not focus on the back end of the loan, how much interest we're actually paying. Who's in charge of that education? I'm kind of wondering where our education is coming from. But take a look at this loan. This is ridiculous. I need you to see this. On this loan, this particular investor is getting this kind of money every month and paying $3,000 on the debt every single month. But how much is actually going to principal or creating equity? $14.17, and $3,000 goes to interest. Listen, if you're not on YouTube and you're not seeing this, you won't believe me if you're just hearing it on Clubhouse. Come on over to YouTube and look at these numbers. $14.17 going to principal, $3,000 going to interest. I don't care how much money you're making. Should we be standing for this? Is this something we should say is okay? Now, again, I am not anti-bank. I am pro-education, and we need to know how these loans work so that even this, all right? So somebody says, I left Clubhouse to come see it here. Okay. All right. And who is that? Because I just see an A, so I don't know who that is. Tell me who you are. They left Clubhouse so they can see the numbers. Okay. So put it in the chat. Tell me who you are so I can respond to you. So anybody else coming? Miss Sharon, how are you doing this morning? Here in Clubhouse. How are you? And I understand if you aren't able to talk, but can I get at least 5 more people to come to the stage? Can I get 5 people to come to the stage? You don't even have to ask a question, but if an opportunity comes to ask a question, you can. Miss Sharon, how are you?
Um, um, I'm doing good, and always taking in this knowledge. But yes, I'm doing good, and I have some questions for you.
Go ahead with your question then.
Okay, uh, there's an investment property that I'm looking at, and it's kind of it's uh, when I say it's a multifamily, and I know it's overpriced. It's really overpriced to me, and um, he's willing to hold the loan for a year, and but my thing of it is it's a total rehab. It's like many multiplexes in one apartment complex, and he's wanting a deposit of or earnest money of 30,000, and that's a little bit rich.
Oh,
But
listen,
yeah,
earnest deposit of 30,000. Oh no,
yes,
sorry. Listen, I'm not even. Listen, I'm not even a big time investor. Okay, but when you talk about an earnest deposit of $30,000, and you don't have everything in place, where you can have yourself protected, you can. There's a risk to losing your earnest money. So no, absolutely not. That's way too much. Listen, and I'm not even a big time investor, but there are some investors that you can meet that can help you. All right, and I know some, but listen, you want to run that deal past somebody who has a lot more experience than I do in investing. All right. I help investors manage their money. But even to me, that sounds bad. Okay. So I mean, so listen, and did you counter Sharon?
yes, I said I could meet you at 10.
Okay, good. Now, have you had a chance will you have a chance to go through the property?
Yes,
All right. And
he's asking 1.5 for it.
mhm. All right. And at 1.5. And are you skilled in looking at a property, or at least getting the advice on what it's going to take to improve that property? And do you know what your after repair value is going to be?
That's where the other investor is taking it off, Mr. Otis, and I'm inquiring, I'm inquiring him, and
There you go.
there's a yes,
So Otis, listen, Otis is going to ask you to get 4 things from him right away. Okay, 4 things from him right away. So he want to see what's going on with um, your trailing 12. All right, your expenses. What's going on there? Is this are there people renting space in this commercial building?
it's seven out of the 135 units.
Uh-huh.
There are 6 people there.
Okay, but the space is for rent. Okay, so that's what what you're trying to do, is rent that out. Okay, so what would the rent roll be? What would the expenses be? What major repairs have you made? So Otis is going to ask you to get all some really good information, and then he's going to help you to now now I'm getting this from him. I'm not telling you from knowledge that I have about investing. I'm telling you what he's told me. When it comes to commercial real estate, you don't get comps like we do for a house. You acquire the information on how much the building is worth based on the rents it can produce. So he's going to help you with all of that. So if you're in good hands with Otis, so I'm not going to worry about this anymore. Okay, you're in good hands with Otis. Follow his lead. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Did you have any other questions about anything else?
Not at the time, but if I do, I know I'll come to you. I got several properties that are coming to me,
Okay.
leads and stuff like that, and that's when I'm gonna, yeah, hit you up.
All right, great. Terrence, how are you this morning? All right. If you're on the stage and you're able to talk, go ahead and flash your mic and I'll call on you. Oh, there you are, Terrence. How are you?
Yeah, doing well, sitting in the office, sending letters to potential clients.
Okay, so he's listening to Clubhouse in the background. All right, good to have you here today. So if you ever have a question or a comment, Terrence, go ahead and chime right in. Okay. All right, Gabriel, are you able to speak to us this morning? How are you?
Yes, I am very much able to speak this morning. So far, I'm doing quite well myself. Great. Grateful to be a part of this group. I actually got a referral from one of the real estate rooms that I was in within the past week to join the mortgage syndicate. And also, like you were saying before, to not so much be anti-bank, but pro-education. That is something that I've taken uh an idea or quote you could say towards applying towards my own personal life. So in any way I can find to really just educate myself on these loans, especially how these banks work in terms of them operating on interest, and really just to cut down the mortgage rate, the mortgage loan over a period of time is really why I'm pretty much here in of itself. Grateful to be here. That's my commentary so far.
All right, Gabriel, thank you so much. AJ, I see you're here in Clubhouse and you're here in YouTube. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, good morning, Ice. No, that chart that you put up on YouTube was mind blowing. uh, yeah, the 18% loan thing, man, that's crazy. Paying $800,000 in interest.
All right. Well,
Uh,
listen, since you're here this morning,
yeah.
and you can still see the chart, right? Because you're watching are you watching the chart on a different device?
Unfortunately, no. I wish there was a way to mute one of the two, like either YouTube or Clubhouse, but there's no way to do that. So I have YouTube paused right now, but I'm on Clubhouse to ask you questions or whatever, you know.
All right, well, do that. What question do you have?
Oh, well, I just found your channel on YouTube, so and thanks for all the information. I wanted to know, like right now, I have a mortgage, a 30-year, and if I just watch your YouTube videos, will I be able to figure out like how to do this, or do I need to like get in touch with you to pay off my loan in 7 years?
All right, well, listen, here's what we've got. There's a
Okay.
lot of free information out here on what I do. I mean, over 2 years worth of videos. Okay.
Right.
So that information is free. But what we do have, if you want to implement it so that you can save the maximum amount of interest, then that's a service that we do provide. You will have to pay for that. Now,
Oh,
the amount of interest that you could save for free by watching the videos is significant. Okay. But if you want to save even more than that, if you want to save exponentially more than that, then work with us. And the
okay.
extra interest you save will more than pay for the lifetime program.
Right, right. Yeah, and I've also got some plans to, do some investments.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just kind of sitting on cash right now with the market and the economy being the way it is. I've been just kind of sitting on the sideline waiting for maybe the interest rates to go down, etc. I haven't really done much with like or looked into commercial real estate, but I have a lot of friends that own multiple, single family homes. So I'm kind
Okay.
of trying to go with that model.
Okay. Well, listen
Yeah.
to this a little bit longer, and then let's
Okay.
come back and talk about these interest rates again. And if it's wise to wait for the interest rates to go down. What if there was a way to make the higher interest rates actually work better than the lower interest rates? Would you be interested in knowing that?
Absolutely.
Really? Okay, let's talk about it. Okay. So listen, jump back in anytime. I'm getting ready to go back to the chart now, AJ, but jump back in and interrupt me and ask a question. You don't have to wait for me to pause. Okay.
All right.
All right, great. So here's what we got, ladies and gentlemen. This is, I need you to see why we use Brett Whistle for what we're talking about here. I'm going to put this in the chat. You need to play around with this amortization calculator. I'm putting it in the chat for you. This is what I use for education. This is not my program. So I'm putting it in the chat. I'm also putting it in the comment section on YouTube, all right, and other social media. There we go. And that is the wrong link. Doggone it. Sorry. I don't want that link. All right. I need, let's see here. I need Brett Whistle. Hold on. Okay, there we go. Copy. And I need to paste Brett Whistle in here. Sorry, folks. Sorry about giving you the wrong information. There we go. Here's the right information for Brett Whistle. There it is. I just posted it in Clubhouse. And the reason why I do this is because the bank is expert in getting us not to realize how much interest we're actually paying because we're so focused on interest rate. We're not focused on interest cost. I'm just telling you the psychology here. All right. And once you understand the behavioral economics is a whole science. Look it up. Behavioral economics, how human beings behave when it comes to money and the choices they make. All right. And behavioral economists have come to the conclusion that as human beings, we make irrational decisions when it comes to money. And there are teams of behavioral economists that help banks make more money because they understand how we as human beings make decisions about money. And when they know that, they're making a ton. And here's one of the things that they make money on because of what's going on here. Okay. So Michelle says, good morning. Okay. All right. Everybody's saying good morning to me. Good morning, everybody. So here's what we're looking at, ladies and gentlemen. I need you to take a look at this thing. The reason why we use Brett Whistle is because of this. Okay. And any term that I use, please look it up because there are whole books on behavioral economics that's kind of fascinating. It's fascinating to me. I hope it's not boring to you, but it's fascinating to me to understand why we make the decisions we make. All right. So here's what I've got. I used Brett Whistle because I get cumulative principal and cumulative interest. I get to see how much interest and principal we are engaged in over a period of time. So in 1 year, with this particular loan, $200,000 at 18%, even though the investor is making $6,000 in rents and paying $3,000 in mortgages, so which is pretty doggone good. Okay. But here's what's happening. After 1 year on this loan, he only pays the loan down by $184.79. That's it. Starts out at $200,000. And at the end of 1 year, still owes $199,815.21. That's only paying the loan down by $184. How much money goes to interest in that time? $35,985.25. Folks, that's $36,000. Listen to me. Listen to me. If you knew that I was an investor and I had $36,000 and at the end of 1 year, Out of my $36,000, I only had $184.79 left. Would you think I was a wise investor? Yes or no? Put it in the chat. If I had $36,000 at the beginning of the year and at the end of the year, all I have to show out of my $36,000, I don't have I only have $184 left. Abdul would say no. All right. Now, even though on this deal on the front end, Abdul, even though on the front end of this deal, I'm paying $3,014 a month in loans and mortgages, but I'm making $6,000 a month. That's that's pretty good doggone cash flow. But past that, looking at the back end, where the bank is making all this money, do you know how long I have to pay on this thing to pay this loan $200,000 off? With this much money going to principal, it'll take me 30 years. Do you know how many times they get to add interest into this thing? 360 times. 360 times. That's where the $885,000 in interest comes from. Wow. That's where it comes from. Because this is called friction. I pay $3,014, but there's $3,000 worth of friction that keeps me from paying the loan back. $3,000 worth of friction, $14 going to the loan. Here's what the banking industry does not want you to realize, ladies and gentlemen. And please, if you need to watch this over and over again, please do, because what I'm getting ready to tell you is the absolute truth. And this is why what you're getting ready to learn right now is not taught in grade school, in middle school, in high school, in undergrad, in your college courses. If you're a CPA, you're not taught this. If you're a certified public accountant, you're not taught this. If you are a financial planner, you're not taught what I'm getting ready to teach you. And Susie Orman, nor Dave Ramsey, or any other financial guru is teaching this today. Watch this. If I make my payment here on the very first payment in January, my mortgage payment for February, my principal payment for February is $14.38. If I wait till February to pay my mortgage down by $14.38, do you realize the bank is going to charge me $2,999.79? That's how much they get to charge me next month in order to pay my mortgage down by $14.38. What they're hoping is that I will be so enamored by the fact that I'm paying $3,000 a month to them, but I'm making $6,000 a month to my tenants, I will not pay attention to this. That's what they're hoping. Okay? But here's my question. If I make my payment in January, do I have to wait till February to give them this $14.38? Do I have to wait till February to give them $14.38? I need you to put it in the chat right now. Do I have to wait till February to give them the $14.38 that they're looking for? Come on. Put it in the chat. Okay. All right. Eric, too. Steve Mack says no. Michelle says no. Eric says no. Abdul says no. Jovetta Burns says no. Okay. So if I give them that money in January, the $14.38, do you realize all of that money goes to principal? So I'm paid down to where I owe $199,971.45 in January. Okay, I'm already down here in January. So my next mortgage payment for February moves from line 2 to line 3, where $14.60 goes to principal and $2,999.57 goes to interest. All right, I'm learning how to borrow money at a discount now, okay, because I need to pay it back and not give the bank a whole bunch of money. What happens to the $2,999.79 in interest on line two? What happens to that money? Okay. What happens to that? The $2,999 that the bank was expecting that they were going to get paid to pay my mortgage down by $14.38. What happens to that nearly $3,000? Okay. Gabriel Bogle says, learning to utilize leverage and pay. Ooh, come on now. Come on. We don't, we need to understand how we can borrow money, use leverage and pay less to use it. Okay. So if you don't know, guess what happens? This gets canceled. $2,999.79 worth of interest gets canceled. You never have to pay. I need you all to understand this, that if I do it the bank's way and I let them do the timing, come on now, you people who are using business credit out here and learning how to get business credit on YouTube, learning how to get business credit on Clubhouse, learning how to get business credit on TikTok. All right. Come on, Warner, come on up to the stage and talk to me. You might want to interrupt me because don't let me get started. I'll go on a rant and talk forever. All right. Warner, what do you got for me?
Hey, I don't want to interrupt you at all. I'm just I'm listening and taking mental notes, but it sounds like you're giving all this great information. So I don't want to interrupt you. Keep going.
All right, man. Thank you. Because you're on the stage, that's going to invite other people into this room right now. Okay, so now we're learning how to get the business credit so that the banks can find new ways to lend us money so that they can make more money off our businesses. They're making as much as they possibly can off our personal stuff. Okay. And they said we can't actually lend them anymore because the average family has 13 different debts. So we can't make any more money there. So why don't we develop a system whereby that we can lend them money on a business that won't show up on their personal credit, and we can lend them that money too and make more money in interest from the same people. But in fact, they own a business, and the business is considered, because if it's an entity, if you make it a corporation, then a corporation is a person. I can make more money off this person that's owned by the other person. Oh, Lord have mercy. They're just increasing their profits. And this kind of thing is going on. So now, if I give the bank this $14.38 early, I'm choosing when to pay the bank. And I don't have to pay them this $3,000 in interest. I get the equity for free. They want to charge me nearly $3,000 a month to increase my equity in the property by $14 to $16 a month. And because we have not been taught anything about this, we say it's okay. And I really do think it is hugely irresponsible to teach how to get the credit and not how to borrow the money at a discount as well. Okay? So let's take a look at this. If I make my payment in January and let's give the bank the next three principal payments. That's $14.38, $14.60, and $14.82. Okay? All right. That's about $45, rounded off. Does anybody have an extra $45 here? Does anybody have an extra $45 they can lend me? All right. Do you have an extra? Put yes or no if you have an extra $45. Put that in the chat, please. Put that in the comment section. Do you have an extra $45? Because I want to show you what you can do with it on this one. Eric too says he's got extra $45. Eric, I want to borrow your $45. Steve Mack says yes, he's got an extra $45. I want to borrow your $45. How much interest do you want me to pay you on your $45? Okay. How much interest do you want on your $45? I'll pay it to you. How much interest do you want on your $45? Put it in the chat. How much interest do you want? How much interest you want me to pay you on your $45? Steve Max says 100%. You got it. Okay. So I'm going to pay you back your 45. I'm going to pay you back your $45. All right. And I'm going to give you $45 in interest on top of it. All right. Deal. All right. I'm going to take your $45. I'm going to put it on this mortgage. All right. And I'm going to cancel this $2,999 in interest, this $2,999.57 in interest, nearly $9,000 in interest. I'm going to cancel with your money that you charge me 100% interest on. Now, you tell me, is that a great arbitrage deal or not? Did I just make a good deal by borrowing money at 100% from this guy so that I can save $9,000 in interest on my mortgage? Gabriel says, yes, I did. Yes, I did. Now we're taught if I borrow money at 100%, why would I ever take that same money and put it on an 18% mortgage? Because we're taught to look at the interest rate, not the interest cost. The interest cost of borrowing, $45, and I'll pay it all day. What is my benefit for using it? Oh, I get to save $9,000 in interest. So what does the real estate investor get out of this? What does the real estate investor get out of this by buying this mortgage from my bank? Here's what the real estate investor gets out of this. The people who sign the mortgage have absolutely no idea how the mortgage works. None, zero, zilch. And because of that, because I'm an investor and I buy this from the bank, I buy the paper from the bank as an investor. Okay. And I paid a premium for it. Okay. So now the person who owns the loan has to pay back the $200,000. But guess what? They're paying it back at 14 and 16 and 17 cents a month. I mean, 14 and 15 and 16 and $17 a month. But each month that this investor pays this money to me, all right, the mortgage investor, I get the whole $3,000.14. I get the whole thing. $3,014.17 a month I get as the investor. I'm making money off this deal. Now, what happens? Because the person who has the mortgage pays $3,014.17 a month, the math on the back end, because of the amortization schedule, the math says we're going to reduce your indebtedness by $14. We're going to reduce your indebtedness by $1,438, by $1,460, by $1,482. Even though you're paying $3,000, your debt gets reduced by this little amount. This is called the rate of change. The rate of change here is $14.17, then $14.38. Listen, that's not very much at all, ladies and gentlemen. The rate of change is so small, so that means that I will have to pay many more times just to pay back the $200,000, which means the investor makes a boatload of money off the deal. That's what's happening here because we have not been taught. So if we just learn how to borrow money at a discount, if I can just make my mortgage payment here on the first of the month, and I'm going to give the bank the next 3 principal payments, about $45, that's going to save me $3,000. I'm sorry, $9,000 in interest on this loan. All right. Does that make sense to everybody? That makes sense? Now, I need you to take a look at cumulative principal and cumulative interest. This is why I need everyone. I see Ace. Ace found it. Ace says, how do I get in on stage? Okay. Ace said, you need to download Clubhouse. So I'm going to invite Ace to the stage because he might have some questions. So Ace, if you see that, I just invited you, just go ahead and click that and that'll bring you up. So you'll be on the stage. Okay. Listen, ladies and gentlemen. So here's what I need you to look at. Play around with this amortization schedule, and you get to see. I just invited you up. So just Ace, just go ahead and acknowledge the invite. Click on that, and that'll bring you up. There you go, just like that. Now, there's a microphone in the lower right-hand corner of your phone or whatever. There you go. Ace, how are you doing this morning, sir?
I'm fine. How you doing?
Excellent. You want to turn the volume down on your computer or iPad or whatever you're using to watch us on YouTube.
Is that better?
Yes, it is. It is. Did you have a question for us this morning?
I just wanted to come to the stage. I've been wanting to get on your platform, but I always see you on Clubhouse, but I never came. I'm just listening right now.
All right, man. Listen,
I appreciate it.
You got a question? Jump back in there, okay?
If I do, yes, I will definitely.
Thank you. All right.
I got a quick question on the amortization schedule. There's I try to put in my mortgage numbers.
Yeah.
And there's a box called balloon payment.
All right. Well, what you did was you tried to calculate more than once. Okay. Here's what you do. Is your mortgage are the mortgage numbers correct?
Yeah, so I've got a $330,000 mortgage.
All right. Well, let me quickly give you the what's going on here. Okay. So what you do is zero out the balloon payment and zero out the monthly payment.
Okay.
And then recalculate and hit calculate again.
Okay, I'll try that.
All right. And then once you do that, that should work for you. And don't forget to put a check mark in the box that says show amortization schedule. Don't forget to do that.
Got it. Okay.
Okay. That should work for you.
Thank you so much.
All right. And if you want to see your numbers on the screen, let me know after this example, and I'll put those numbers on the screen and we'll work with that. Okay.
Sounds good.
All right. So here we go. All right. So I need you all to look at cumulative principal and cumulative interest. All right. In 1 year, here's what this real estate investor is going to make on this deal. All right. And this is why it's so important. The rate of change is so small. You have to pay back, according to this schedule, $200,000. But at the end of 1 year, you've only brought the loan down by $184.79. So how much of your money went over to the interest column? $35,985.25. That's how much went over to the interest column. Let me break this down to you the way the banks are looking at it. Okay. Here's how a bank looks at it. And I want you to tell me how you feel about it. Here's how the bank wants you to look at this. Here's how the bank looks at it. They owe $200,000. At the end of 1 year, they will owe $199,815.21 if they follow the amortization schedule. In other words, it will cost this person who has this loan $35,985.25 in interest in 1 year. I'm making a boatload of money on this thing. This is how the bank looks at it. It costs $35,985 to move the loan from point A, $200,000, to point B, where you owe $199,815. Is that a lot of money to the investor? After 1 year, they get to make that much money, and you get to move the loan you get to move the loan from 200,000 down to here. Such a small space that I have to pay nearly $36,000 for. Now, why can we get away with that? Why can the banks get away with that when you're talking about business credit? The reason why they can get away with that is this: you're making money off the front end, and you're taught not to pay attention to the back end. So you're making money and they're making money off your business. Now, if you're a real estate investor, here's what you're also taught by other real estate investors. Your tenants are paying the mortgage, so don't worry about it. If you've heard that, put a 7 in the chat. As a real estate investor, if you've heard that, don't worry about it. Your tenants are paying the mortgage. Put a number 7 in the chat if you've heard that. Number 7. Oh, here it comes. Number 7. Oh, bunch of them. Here they come. Number 7's coming in the chat. Look at that. Okay. So here's what's happening. And I need to show you something here, because they're saying, why pay off these loans when you can take your money that you're making and invest that money too? Okay. Now we're going to get down to the nitty gritty. Business credit people who now are now making the banks even more money, because we haven't been taught how credit actually works in our favor. All right. Here's what I need you to see. I'm going to put the numbers on the screen. Okay. We got 3,000. Wait a second. $3,014. Back it up. Delete. $3,014.17 is our mortgage payment times 12 months. That's a total of $36,170.04. That's money your tenants gave you. Your tenants aren't paying the mortgage. You are. Your tenants don't have a mortgage. You do. Your tenants have a contract with you, not with your bank. So your tenants gave you $36,170.04 to pay the mortgage with. They gave you that money. And when they gave it to you, out of all the money that they gave you, $36,170, here's how much you have to show for it at the end of 12 months, $184.79. Lord have mercy. Lord, I'm choking just talking about it. $184.79. And they got $35,985.25 out of it. Now keep the loan for 2 years. Okay. Now you're paying the loan down by $405, and the investor gets $71,000. Oh, almost $72,000. Oh, keep it for 3 years. Listen, for 3 years, you're still making over $6,000 a month. You start adding that up, and that looks pretty good to you. Okay. But in 3 years, the investor just made $107,000 off the money your tenants gave you in just 3 years. Listen, if you're a real estate investor, do you want this to continue? Do you want this to continue? If you're a real estate investor, put a yes or a no in the chat. Put a yes or a no in the chat. Okay. No. I got a hell no. Let's go down to 5 years. You're 5 years into this loan, making $6,000 a month. That's 60. Listen, that's 60 times $6,000. Here's how much money you brought in. Okay. 60 times 6,000. And we're going to multiply that by 60 months. Here's how much money you made. $360,000. Whoo! And you got to take care of the toilets. You got to take care of the, the stuff breaks, the air conditioning. You got to take care of the whole doggone building. All right. For your $360,000. But what the bank did was just lend you the money so you could make your $360,000. But out of the money that they gave you, look what happened. After 5 years on this loan, they made $179,000 while your tenants only paid your loan down by $1,363.34. That's what happened here. This is why business credit exists, not so that you can make more money. That's how it's taught. That's how it's promoted. That's how it's sold. Folks, wake up. Business credit here is an extension of the bank's ability to make more money off of us. And I'm going to tell you again for the third or fourth or fifth time, I don't care. I love borrowing money, but I want to get it at a discount. Okay. So Abdul, what are you saying here, Abdul? You're saying you're helping the bank get money from tenants and you are maintaining the product for free. Lord have mercy. Come on. Listen, you've got a building. You're maintaining it. The bank is making money off of it. Oh, Lord. It's not costing them a dime to maintain this building. Whew. I never thought. Can I use that, Abdul? Listen, the bank you're maintaining, you're doing everything. The bank, let me write this down. Bank makes money for free. You maintain it. Wow. You maintain the building. All right. And you're okay with getting your 360,000, but they're okay with doing this. Now I'm going to show you where you can win. Are you ready? If you want to see how you can win on this, put a number 9 in the chat on Clubhouse and online. Put a number 9 if you want to see how you can win on this. Okay. All right. Now, one says, let's go. Listen. James says, let's go. Number 9. Okay. Let's go back to the top. Let's go back to the top here. Okay. Now, in 1 year, if you add up all the principal payments in 1 year, invite to speak. All right. Invite Terry up to speak. Come on, Terry. All right. In 1 year. All right. Okay. In 1 year, you're going to pay this loan down by $184.79. But the bank gets to charge you for moving the loan from point A to point B in 1 year, $35,985.25. But you get $184.79 worth of equity that your tenants gave you that kind of money. Now, here's my question. If I already know that I'm going to pay this loan down by $184.79, do I have to pay it in 12 monthly installments of $14, $15, and $16? Do I have to give the bank the $184.79 in 12 monthly installments? Steve Mack says no. Anybody else?
No, sir.
Okay, somebody, listen, you could go, thank you for coming online and saying no, sir. Okay. Can I get more people to this stage? Come on. $184 says, what could I do if I'm going to give them the $184 over in 1 year? Could I give it to them in 1 month? Can I give it to them in 1 month?
Yes, sir.
Actually,
you can afford that.
Okay. If I can afford it. So listen, what if I couldn't afford it? I'm going to go out and borrow it.
Right, exactly.
Listen, I will borrow that money from a payday loan person.
I'll lend you $189 for $15,000. How about that?
Listen, listen, Terry.
That's what's happening.
That's still a deal.
All right.
Okay, let me show you what's happening here. If I take this $184 and I apply it to the loan on line 1, I pay my $3,000 in my mortgage payment. I give the bank the additional $184.79. So I need to put this on the screen here because some people don't believe me unless I do the numbers. $200,000 is where I started out on this loan. Okay, $200,000. One more zero. Okay, we're going to subtract $184.79. subtract $184.79. I owe now $199,815.21. Isn't that the same thing that's right here? $199,815.21. That is the same number. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm asking you, if I give them that money up front, aren't I paid down to right here in just 1 month instead of 12 months? That's a yes or a no. Put it in the chat. Am I paid down to line 12 in just 1 month if I give the bank the $184.79 up front? Yes or no? Okay. All right. All right. Here's one the next thing I need to ask you. What happens to all the interest payments that the investor was looking for between line 2 and line 12? What happens to all those what happens to all that money that they were looking
It
for?
just evaporated.
Oh, Lord.
It just evaporated.
It's gone. It's gone. And my next mortgage payment, if I start this loan in January, my next loan payment is on what line of this schedule, ladies and gentlemen? I need you to put it in the chat or say it out loud. Talk to me.
13.
I'm on line 13. I'm on line 13 for $184.79. So if you're a real estate investor, James, did you just hear what I said? If you're a real estate investor and you're long term on this deal, you can get your equity a lot cheaper if you understood how an amortization schedule works while you're getting your business credit. And this is why we're not taught. I want to get my personal credit in shape. I want to get my business credit in shape. And I want to use the bank's money, but I want to use it at 75, 80% off. Now I'm going to show you some absolutely mind-boggling numbers. Are you ready? All right. I've been here an hour and 19 minutes. You know why I run into so much backlash on Clubhouse and every place else I work? Is because we're not looking at how much interest we're actually paying. And so I get a bunch of pushback from people who are on Clubhouse about prepaying these loans. Okay, because they're not understanding how much interest is being paid and they have no idea how much interest can be saved. And so I understand where they're coming from. They're saying, Don, why should I take this money and pay down this 5%, 6%, 7%, and even this 18% loan when I can take money and I can make 15, 18, 20% cash on cash return on my money? I should invest that money. Okay. And here's what I'm saying. You absolutely should invest that money and make your 20% cash on cash return if that's what you're doing. Do that. I need you to do that so that you can build your real estate empire to the place where you want it. You need to buy more doors. You need to invest. Go ahead and do that. But if there's a little bit of money sitting over here on the side doing nothing, maybe we can kind of use that as well. I'm not saying do either or. I'm saying do both and. Okay? Do both and. All right? Let me bring this idea back to you and show you, just to remind you what this guy is doing. $6,000 coming in, $3,014.18 going out, taking $2,000 and investing, and taking about 14% of his money and putting it into a reserve account to do repairs and maintenance. Okay, so it's got money that's sitting on the side, repairs and maintenance. Okay, so we've got that. We're talking about that. So if I can take $184 now, there are two ways. There are more, but there's two main ways to increase profits. You can charge more money. You can increase the number of doors and get more people paying you rent. You can bring in more money to increase profits. You can also lower expenses to increase profits. So if you're in business like Terry, okay, you're in business like Terry. And Terry, if I want, so listen, I want to put in, a countertop. I want to put in granite countertops. I want to replace, my wife wants to replace the granite countertops, Terry. All right. Can that be done?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Can I get the same price you can get for the granite that's going to go on my countertops?
No, sir.
And why not?
Because I got that connection. You don't.
You got that connection. You don't. So Terry, let me ask you another thing. Do you want to pay my price for the countertops?
No.
No.
Then I wouldn't be making any money.
He wouldn't be making any money. Do you hear what he's saying, folks? You can increase profits by lowering expenses. He does not want to pay retail for the granite. He wants to buy the granite wholesale so he can make money. Are you hearing what we do? If you're a business, lower your expenses. So here's what I'm saying. If you're borrowing money, lower your expenses on this deal. Okay. So now,
if you're buying money,
yeah,
maybe you should say it that way. If you're buying money,
right,
instead of borrowing money,
right. If
you're buying money,
yes,
pay for it less.
There you go, man. So you're buying money. So here's what we're talking about. I need you to look up when you have a chance how to figure ROI. How do I figure ROI? And if you put it online, okay, so I'm going to bring this up. We're going to figure how to figure ROI. Boom. All right, here it is. Return on investment, an approximate measure of an investment's profitability. ROI is calculated by subtracting the initial cost of the investment from its final value and dividing this number by the cost of the investment, and finally multiplying by 100%. Okay, by subtracting the initial cost of the investment from its final value and dividing that number by the cost of the investment. Okay, so now I have $184 that I'm investing. $184 that I'm investing. What am I going to get as a result? That means I don't have to pay this over $30,000 in interest if I pay this money up front. That's what I get. Okay, so I'm going to put that in my calculator. I'm just going to round this thing off. I'm just going to round it to $35,000 because I mean it's crazy enough as it is. What did I do to save $35,000? I invested out of my reserve fund $184.79. So I'm going to divide it by 184.79 equals, and then I multiply by 100. Boom. What did I just? That's 18,940% return. Did you hear me? Did you hear what I just said? 18,940% return on my money if I invest that money into this mortgage of interest I don't have to pay. Listen, is there a real estate investor anywhere in here that would say that they can take $184? How long would it take them to make $35,000 with $184.79? I don't care what interest rate you can get. Is there any way to beat this investment that I'm talking about? Put a yes or no in the chat. Put a yes or no in the chat. Okay. Now,
All right, Don, I got a question.
Go right ahead, sir. Go ahead with your question.
So what does this look like with the bank? Can I just mail in a check that says principal payment only? Does it require a conversation? I mean, what does that part look like?
Very good question. It's as simple at some banks as this. Go on your bank's website if you have a mortgage and click on make a payment. There could be a line there that says principal payment only. And you can put your money there and pay it from there. That's their notification. That's the system that they've set up for you to make principal only payments. Okay. This is called a prepayment. When you're paying, a prepayment is any money that's due before the next payment is due, meaning you've already made your other payment, your regular monthly payment. You've made your regular monthly payment. Any other money you give to the bank before the next payment is due is called a prepayment. In other words, you're choosing the time in which to give them money. If you choose the time, Terry, to give them that money ahead of time and use that little line, if your bank has that, what you're literally saying is, I'm going to give you $184, and I'm literally making it impossible for you to charge me interest for me to get this equity. That's what you're telling them. That's what it comes down to. You're literally telling them, you can't charge me interest if I give you the money when I choose to. You can only charge me interest when I give you money when you set the parameters. Is this making sense to everybody? Huh?
I do have a question, though.
Go right ahead with your question.
So doesn't this depend on the terms of the mortgage, though? Because when you make that extra payment, it's only reducing your principal balance by that amount.
Yeah.
But the bank still charges you the interest.
Yes, they still charge you interest every time you make a payment. Okay. So AJ, you are exactly right. So here's what I'm saying. Let's go back and let's make AJ's point. If I'm making a payment in January, all right, the bank gets to charge me $3,000 in interest for this very first payment. Okay. Right now. So if I make payment number 2 in February, they get to charge me this much interest. If I give them the $184 in 1 month, if I give them $184 in 1 month up front, my next mortgage payment is line 13, and I have to pay them $2,997.23 in interest for February, instead of what they were looking for, $2,999.79. So here's where we get fooled, AJ. There's not much difference between $2,999.79 in interest being paid and $2,997.23 in interest paid. Not much difference at all. The only real difference is the number of times I have to pay it.
Oh, that's interesting. So in my case, I ran the numbers, right?
Yes.
So I have a $130,000 mortgage.
Mm-hmm.
And so looking at the exact thing that you're doing there with that mortgage there,
Mm-hmm.
my numbers come out to be my total monthly payments are $1,537 a month.
Let me put it in so people can see it, AJ. What was your starting principal balance?
Okay, yeah, I'll tell you exactly. So 330,000.
330.
3.8%.
3.8%.
Yes.
Okay. Now there are a lot of people out there that would tell you you're crazy trying to pay off 3.8%, because that's cheap money. You've heard it before.
Right. So when I look at the amortization summary,
yeah,
it shows me my total interest is $223,557.
Yep.
Which makes my house costed, let's say, $330,000.
Yeah.
So with all the interest, it's actually costing me $553,557.
That's the true cost. So
Yeah.
So the question is, do you want to pay $553,000 for your $333,000 house?
No.
No. Okay. What else you
Right.
got for me?
So let's go to the breakdown.
Yeah.
If you scroll down, right?
Yep.
So with what you're saying,
Mm-hmm.
the first payment right there is $492.66 going towards principal, 1,045 going towards interest,
Correct.
right? And so what you're saying is, after I make that payment, I would pay the entire amount of the principal, which would be 500. No, wait, so I would need to pay.
Your total mortgage payment here. Pay your
So line 12, right?
Yeah, your total mortgage payment is your regular payment amount is $1,537.66. Once you pay that, now you can do
Mhm.
something else. Okay.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
So pay your you got to pay your total mortgage payment first, and then okay, and we're listening. What are we doing next?
So in your case, you were saying 184, which was the 12 months of principal, right?
Right.
So in this case, I would need to pay the 494 times 12 or 11, something like that.
Well, if you look at cumulative principal, the program lines adds it up for you. It's the fourth
Okay.
and the fifth column. Cumulative principal and cumulative interest go down to line 12 and the fourth and the fifth column. So cumulative principal for 1 year is how much money?
6,015.
There you go. That's why I use this, because now I don't have to add it up myself.
Right. Okay.
Okay. And how much interest do they want you to pay your loan down by $6,000?
12,435.
Do you think that's too much to pay your loan down by $6,000? So if you
Right, yeah.
had $6,000
Mm-hmm.
that you could part with,
Right.
would it make sense to you to put the $6,000 on your mortgage, knock off 12 payments you never have to make, save $12,000, and your next payment is actually on line 13?
Yes.
Let me show you something. Okay. If you
I'm
paid
just wondering if this is automatic, though, or do I need to contact the bank and let them know that I'm doing this to reduce the interest payments?
okay,
You see what I mean?
here are the rules for that. Are you paying are you paying are you paying escrow?
Yes.
Yes. So, for most banks, when you send them extra money, the default where that money goes,
Yeah.
is to your escrow account. That's the default for most banks.
Okay.
Okay. So if you are paying escrow, all right, your taxes and insurances is added into your mortgage payment, then you would have to tell them, I don't want that to go to escrow. I want this to be a principal only payment. You do have to let them know. Now they have several ways to let them know. If you do it online and they have a space there where it says, this is for principal only payments, that's their notification not to put it in the escrow account.
Right. Okay.
If they don't have that, then you have to call your bank or mortgage company and ask, I want to make a principal only payment. I don't necessarily want to pay it when I make my mortgage payment. I want to pay it sometime other in the month. How do I go about that? And they will give you the rules of their bank of how to inform us you're making a principal only payment. Don't assume that all you have to do is write it in the memo. Don't assume that if you're sending in a check, you can put it in a memo and then wrap it up in a note that says apply to principal only. Don't assume that's what they're looking for. Please don't. I had a client do that.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's not how they wanted to be notified. But go ahead with your question.
Yeah. The other thing I was thinking about is that's going to reduce the amount of interest that's going to show that I can deduct on my taxes, right? Next year.
Okay. Here's the thing. I love this question. Okay. You're going to have 12 payments a year.
Right.
They want you to have 12 payments a year for 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
What if you had 12 payments a year? So every year you have a mortgage payment. Okay. Every year you have mortgage payments. And if you qualify for tax deduction, you get it for that year, right?
Yes.
Okay. So here's my question. Do you want to get that tax deduction for 30 years, or do you want to get that tax deduction for 7 years?
Yeah, no, that makes sense. That makes sense. I was just thinking I might have to pay a little bit more extra in taxes because the amount of deduction
Mm-hmm.
from the mortgage interest
Right.
is going to be.
Well, here's what's going on. When I do this presentation, and I'm going to come to you next, Warner. When I do this presentation live, I'll have $1 in one hand and 27 cents in the other. So I'm going to ask. I says I got to pay $1 in interest to the bank to get 27 cents off my taxes for every dollar, right?
Right.
Okay. Yeah. So if I pay the mortgage off in 7 years, doggone it, I lose the 27 cents.
Mm-hmm.
But I get to invest the $1 any way I want.
Yeah. My other question is, after 7 years,
Yes.
can I still can I do a cash out refi?
Oh, I do it all the time. In fact, I never pay mortgages off. Well, I did pay 2 off, but in the grand scheme of things, if you're using business credit and you're developing a business, you just want to be in a position where you're getting your equity faster and cheaper so you can cash out refi and do the process over again. So you never pay a mortgage off until you have gotten to how many doors you want to have. And then you might talk about paying off a mortgage, but otherwise it's cash out retime, baby. 10 to 15 years sooner than normal.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, and with this method, you're also building the equity faster, right?
Faster and cheaper.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Because here the equity cost me on your mortgage, $6,000 worth of equity costs $12,435 in interest, right? You give them this money up front, $6,000 worth of equity cost $1,045, 1 month's worth of interest. Which is better? The equity costing me 12 grand or the equity costing me 1 grand?
The 1 grand one.
Does that make sense though?
Yeah.
Because here's what's happening. Real estate investors, here's what's happening. People who are getting business credit and learning all about business credit. I love business credit. I'm just like Terry, though. I don't want to pay full price for my business credit. I don't want to pay full price for it. I don't want to pay $12,000. I don't care how much money I'm making. I don't want to pay $12,000 for $6,000 worth of equity. I just don't. I want to pay a lot less. Go ahead.
Credit. So the mortgage I have right now is just for a single family home.
Okay.
So once I get into buying more homes, you think it's business credit because I'm gonna put that under an LLC or something? Is that where you're?
Yes,
and
sir.
So the mortgage will be under a business mortgage?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But if we learn it early, just like you, by using these systems on our personal credit, then it transfers over to business credit. Because what we're doing now is that we treat our business credit like we treat our personal credit, paying it back, paying way too much interest on the loans, no matter how great we're doing financially in life. We're still paying way too much interest, no matter how well you're doing. So all I'm saying is pay a lot less interest and do like this family here. Now, what happens if you can track how much interest you're saving, you're not paying, like this particular deal here? I can take that money and instead of giving it to the bank, I can make an extra $1 million investing that money by not giving it to the bank. And that's at 1% return on the money. That's at 1% return. Doggone it. I've stopped giving that money to the bank. So here, let me scroll down a little bit further here, and let me show you how fast we're building up this equity. Okay? Here's how the bank wants me to pay back this loan in the red. Here's how the bank wants me to pay it back. Let me make the numbers just a little bit bigger so you can see. So I owe 200,000. After the first year, I owe 199,815. After the second year, I owe 199,593 and onward. Do you see that? Or I can use this methodology, and after the first year, I owe 207,000, then 186, then 172. Here, in 5 years, I've paid off almost half the loan by using interest cancellation techniques. So even if I'm not using market conditions that normally would, I would be able to, my property would be worth more in 5 years. What if it doesn't? What if it stays the same? I still have nearly $100,000 in equity here. Correct? But it doesn't cost me very much to get it. So in about 5 years, could I do a cash out refi, AJ? He has to switch back and forth.
No, I got I'm still waking up. This is too much math on a Sunday morning.
I know, man. Watch it over again. Watch the replay.
No, but
Don,
I'm watching it on.
Quick question.
Go ahead, Warner.
I'm watching TV.
Yeah, quick question. I have to actually run in the church, but I feel like I'm already at church. But just real quick question. You know what I'm saying? Because I really feel that, you get the loan and you pay enough attention to the math to calculate your ROI as far as and your cash flow, but then you kind of just let it go and start worrying about something else. But this is really interesting, and I appreciate it. And one of the questions I have is how effectively does it work? Probably the same, but how effectively does it work with a lower term loans? And then the gist of it, I mean, I've used the Brett Wilson calculator a lot, so I feel like I want to go back after church and start plugging all my loans into there and seeing what happens. Does the interest, you have to continue to pay the same mortgage amount every year, but what you're saying is we're going to be reducing the amount of time on the back end, is from what I understand.
Exactly.
And
tell us what you mean by lower term loans. You mean lower term mortgages?
Like 5 years instead of 30 year for a commercial loan for multifamily property.
Here's what I do, Warner. I want the longest term possible if I'm practicing interest cancellation. Anytime you lower the term, you make it more difficult to pay the loan off early. Okay?
Yep.
Let me go back here. So remember, we're working with this guy, okay, with this loan here. All right. He says, well, if he didn't know anything about interest cancellation, let's say he could afford to do this because he wanted to. If I get a 15-year loan on this thing, that's 180 payments, right? Okay, 180 payments. Now remember, look at my tiny principal payments here, $14 and $15. I changed the loan to 180 payments. Okay, my mortgage only goes up to $32.20, so it's not very much more because my tenants are are renting from me, so I'm getting the money from them, and then I'm paying the mortgage. It just goes to $32.20. But look at my principal payment. It's now $220. Do you see that? If I'm trying to prepay this, you all tell me, which loan would you rather have if you're trying to prepay this loan? Okay. Would you rather have the 180-month payment or wait a second, let me put this closer to here. Is this it? No. Where did my thing go? Where did it go? Doggone it. Did I get rid of it? I did. Hold on. I want to do a contrast. So I'm going to duplicate this tab. All right. We're going to put in 360 here so I can show both of them side by side. Okay. Delete that. Okay, got to delete that so that I can calculate again. Okay, so for 360 months, my principal payment is $14. So to get rid of one line on the schedule, I only have to make my payment. I only have to come up with $14.38. If I lower the term to 15 years, now I have to come up with $224 to get rid of one line. And I need you to see something here. I need you all to see something here that most people don't know. Okay? Most people don't know. When you look at the interest payments on both loans, 180 payments or 360 payments, what is the very first interest cost on both loans? Here is the 360 payment. Here is the 180 payment. Is the interest cost the very same? Oh, mercy. Most people don't know that. Look at the second one. $2,996.69, $2,999.79. Only 10 cents difference. Ladies and gentlemen, their bank is going to make this money off this amortization schedule because we don't know how it works. We're looking at making 15 years worth of payments. They're looking at making practically the same amount of interest on both loans. All right. In the first years. But they just made it harder for you to prepay the loan by lowering the term. Control the principal payment, ladies and gentlemen, and you control this loan. Control the principal payment and you control the loan. And interest payments you skip don't matter. Warner, what do you think?
No, it's good. I'm gonna get out of church and put all my numbers in and really pay more attention to what's going on, because I think the discount mentality that you have is important, because otherwise you're just paying a premium. Even though you got this great loan, I don't want to do that.
Yes. Now, if you have if you have one mortgage or more than one, okay, there is a way to optimize your interest savings. What do I mean by optimize? I want every dollar that I have to work as hard as it can in eliminating interest. If I can save $10 in interest for every dollar, okay, I don't want to put myself in a position where I'm only saving $5 in interest for every dollar I apply. I want to save as much interest as I possibly can per dollar. That's how we optimize. Now, here's a new term for you. It's called critical point analysis. Critical point analysis. You want to know how much money out of the monies that I'm working with, out of the monies that you're working with, whether you're a real estate investor, whether you're in business, or it's personal. When I prepay, how much interest can I save per dollar? And I'm telling you, that is a serious math question. And you want to know to the penny, how much is too much to put on the mortgage? So with critical point analysis, you'll find out, like anything else, what is the least amount of effort I can put into something and get maximum output. Terry does building and remodeling and these kinds of things. And his mind is always looking at what is the minimum amount of effort, the minimum amount of costs I can put into something to make maximum benefit or maximum profit. Okay. So how many people should I hire? If I hire too many people for the wrong number of people for a job, I don't get the job done any faster because people start getting in the way. It just increases my cost, which lowers my profit. Folks, there is a point where more is too much. You want to know when that more is when it comes to your mortgage. If you want to know what that is, if you want to know when more becomes too much, what is the least amount of money I can use to maximize my profits, then you want to use what's called an opportunity cost calculator, an AI cloud-based computing system that is especially built to save you the maximum amount of interest that's mathematically possible. That's what we provide. If you want to know the month, day, and year you could be debt free, or the month, day, and year you can cash out refi years sooner and start planning building your real estate empire or whatever business you're in bigger, faster, better by using that bank money over and over again. Listen, you want to have a calculator that's going to do all of that for you. So you can go to ice10k.com, go up to the top here. I'm going to put it on the screen for you. ice10k.com, okay? And ice10k.com and get a savings and earnings report. All right. You would scroll down underneath ET's picture, Dr. Eric Thomas's picture, and there's a button there that says get a savings and earnings report. Get your savings and earnings report. And when you click that button, what? You can get a savings and earnings report for free. And we'll give you a 2-page report that looks like this, where you could do a side-by-side and know when it's going to be the best time to refinance and get your cash out. You can know when you could be out of debt. Here's another thing that you could know. This is when you borrow money at 18% on $200,000 and the amount of interest that you pay, it is a huge amount of interest that you pay. But if you can cut this from $884,000 down to $172,000, do you know you can get this 18% mortgage to perform like it's 4.67% without refinancing? I can borrow that same money from the bank at 18%, but I pay them interest like it was 4.67%. Our program is going to do that for you and do all the calculations. And all you have to do is follow the prompts. Move this much money in this month on this day of the month. Here's how much interest you save. So if you want to know how to do that, go to our program and get a savings and earnings report for free. Start the process there. If you want to work with us and have us implement a program for you, then we'll talk about how much of the bank's money that they're no longer going to get, what small percentage of that $300,000 or $200,000 or $150,000 we're saving you, what small percentage is going to pay for your lifetime program that you can use over and over and over again? Oh my goodness. That's what we've got here. All right. And get that. All right. Get your savings and earnings report. Now, some of you have heard some really good information today, some really good information, and you are excited and you want to help other people do the same. All right. So what I'm going to do here is show you by clicking on what's called the affiliate button. Become a P.I.L. Method affiliate. It takes 15 seconds to fill this thing out. Uh-oh. Get this out of the way. It takes 15 seconds to fill it out. Become a P.I.L. Method affiliate, and it looks like this. Your name, your phone number, your email, and how you want to get paid. You find someone who's tired of paying interest like this. You find somebody that wants to do it better, do it bigger, faster, better. Okay. I don't want to talk to people who are satisfied with what they're doing. Okay. Please don't send them my way. I can't convince them. But if they want to do it bigger, faster, better, have them watch the YouTube videos. Go to P.I.L. Method, YouTube, have them watch the videos, and then when they say, I want more information, send them our way, and we'll pay you. Anywhere from $300 to $3,000 a month. Just by having somebody watch the videos, you send them our way. When they become a client, we'll pay you. Okay? Listen, it is probably the most lucrative affiliate program out there right now. All right? We'll pay you. So the other thing you might want to do from our card is also, all right, let's go back. Okay? Get my book. So my book is the only book on Amazon that talks about this subject. There's over 33 million titles on Amazon. I haven't checked today, but out of 33 million titles, let's see where my book lands today out of 33 million titles. And today, it dropped down to number 67. Number 67 out of 3 million books. Well, no, well, this book is at number 50. Number 50 out of 3 million books. So that's not bad. That's not bad. I mean, 33 million. All right. But if you go, that's the audio. I'm sorry, the Kindle version. But here is the paperback is at number 67. That's not bad. Okay. So anyway, that's kind of what we're talking about, folks. Get the book, become an affiliate, and get a savings and earnings report today by going to ice10k.com. And you get to watch a few videos as well. Do I have any other questions from anybody in the audience? Let me check. It says, what's the title of your book? The title of it is the P.I.L. Method, a better way to eliminate debt. But if you go to ice10k.com and go down to the bottom, you can click on buy the book. All right. Now, is the book a step-by-step instruction manual on what to do? The answer is no. It's not a step-by-step. It is all the reasons why you need to look at your debt differently and get the education you need and get the tools you need to save money and interest. It's a start of your education. It's not the end of your education, because what we provide is not just the technology. We provide the coaching that goes along with it so that you can understand your debt from a deeper level. The very things that we should know about how these loans work, that we should have been taught, and even the history on loans. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, once you get into that, let me show you something. I'm going to show you one last thing today, because unless I have some questions, all right?
I have a question.
Go ahead with your question.
All right, so I have just a single family with a pretty cheap or a good 3% on it.
Mm-hmm.
So that, to me, it's like I don't really necessarily want to buy that down.
Okay.
That's my first question, right? I mean, and also, I'm a little bit confused as to where are you suggesting we get the money for the extra principal payments? I mean, did I miss that part?
No, you didn't. That is a good question. You want to work with me on this?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. If you, all you need is a calculator in hand. Okay.
Okay.
Let me know when you have a calculator, and I'll show you what's going on. Okay. This is a good question. This is a good question, everybody. So, would you mind telling me a little bit about your mortgage?
Yeah. Okay. 500,000.
Okay. Hold on for a second. 500,000. Ooh, come on down. Fix that. 500,000. What's the interest rate?
3%.
3%.
That's why I'm having trouble with this, because it's almost like, do you want to buy that down? And I don't mean, I understand that the system works
Right.
to buy that down, but it's like, the question is, do you want to buy that?
That is the question. That is the question. Okay. At 3%. And is it a 30-year loan?
Yes.
Okay. Here's a 30-year loan. So we're going to pull that out. So now just the principal and interest payment is $2,108.02. There are a ton of people out there that says, man, don't mess with a 3% mortgage. Okay. But I happen to know that a 3% mortgage, the bank wants, they want 51% of what you borrowed in the form of interest on this loan. I don't even have to look at it. I know it's 51%.
That's right.
When you want the interest, they pay back the interest, if it's 4%, they want 71%. If it's 5%, they want 93%. But in your case, on a $500,000 loan, they want $258,887.20, or 51.777% of what you borrowed. My question is, when you add in the 258,000, do you want to pay 758,000 for your $500,000 home? That's the question. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that depends though, because what I'd really like to do is, I'm trying to get into other investment properties.
Right.
But and you're talking about buying down the principal and all the stuff, but it's like, where does the money come? And
Okay.
I do have a little bit on the side to start paying down this principal. No
Oh
problem.
yeah, you don't. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about that. Okay. So first of all, on your loan, if you're looking at this, the second principal payment here is $860.17. If you prepay that, you save $1,247 in interest. And you're saying, where does the extra money come from? Can I give you a good idea? You tell me if this works.
Okay.
Well, I'm going to write down how much money I'm making, all right, per month. I'm going to write that down, whatever that is. And then I'm going to figure out how much money do I want to spend on my family and me, just to have some fun every now and then, and just add that to my budget. How much do I want to spend? Okay. And we're going to subtract that from the money that I make. The next thing I'm going to look at is, out of the money that I make, how much money am I putting away for retirement? So we have fun money, we have retirement money, okay, long-term savings, and then we have, what's next? If I have any loans, I have to pay at least the minimum payment on the loans, correct? Minimum payment on the loans. And then I have to pay the rest of the bills: cell phone, food, electricity, cable, all the other bills. All right. So then I got to pay the rest of my bills. Have I left anything out? Fund for the family, retirement is coming out of what I owe, of what I made, minimum payments on the loans, and paying the rest of the bills: food, clothing, all of everything. Have I left anything out? Scott?
No.
Okay.
But I'm trying to. I'm also trying to.
Okay. Let me answer your question, though. Let me answer your question. If I subtract all of that, will I then know how much is left over at the end of the month?
Yeah.
Okay. Couldn't I use that money after all the bills are paid to attack the loan?
Yeah. So that was kind of my question, though. Okay. So like on the initial, like just where I live, right? That's all fine. But as I get into like an investment property,
right,
and it's got this higher interest. Well, I had a couple questions. Now I'm just throwing them all together.
All right, go ahead.
So on the second property, right? I go out and I get this other one.
Mm-hmm.
What interest? I mean, does it even matter what the interest is? Because say mine's so cheap.
Mm-hmm.
I guess what I'm getting is, I don't really want to pay it off. I'd like to be in debt to this loan for a long time.
Yeah.
I'm not too concerned with the equity. But
right.
For the next property, when it's, say it's 8%, we get into it right now. It's just something outrageous.
Okay.
Where am I? If it's an investment property, where am I going to get that extra funds?
There you go. That is a very good question. Okay. So I got an investment property, and am I cash flowing on this property?
Sure, yeah. a
Sure.
little
We
bit,
got to,
sure.
yeah, we got a cash flow on it, or we wouldn't be in it, right? Here's my next question.
That I guess that depends on your angle, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Here's my next question. Are you setting aside any of those monies you're bringing in? This is just one way to do it. Are you setting aside any monies that you're bringing in for repairs and maintenance?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
All right. If you're doing that, where are you sitting that money? Where's that money? Where are you storing that money?
Just savings account.
Okay.
Like
It sits in a
simple.
savings account. And are you making about 0.1% on your savings account?
I don't even calculate that. It's not enough to matter.
All right. But you do have some cash there. Okay. Right?
Yeah.
All right. So I don't need to know how much it is. This just now I need you to play a little game with me. Bring up your calculator. Okay.
Okay.
And in your calculator, I want you to put $1,247.85 in your calculator. Okay, $1,247.85. Let me know if you need me to repeat it.
No, I got it.
Okay, now in my calculator, I'm going to put $860.17. Okay, so out of my savings, out of my monies that I have set aside in my reserve fund, I mean, even if it's just like $5,000, not very much, could I take $860 out of there and apply it as an extra principal payment to this loan and save myself $1,247 in interest? Could I do that?
Yeah.
Okay, well, what if I didn't have $860? Okay, what if I had half that? I'm going to divide mine by 2. You divide yours by 2 as well. I'm dividing mine by 2. Divide mine by 2. And now I only want to use $430 of it. How much interest can I save with that?
Over the course of the year?
No, just this one thing. Your $1,247.85 divided by 2. That's how much interest I could save.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Wait. Yeah, I'm not really following what you mean.
Okay. So if you were looking at my screen, then you would know that by prepaying $860, you could save $1,247 in interest you never have to pay the bank. I just need you to trust. I just need you to trust. I just need you to trust me on it. Okay.
Okay.
Trust me on that. But I don't have 860. I only have 430. I only have half of it. If I prepay half of it, I can save half the interest. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Take your $1,247.85 and divide it by 2.
Okay.
How much interest am I saving?
I don't know.
$1,247.85 divided by 2. Read me the number.
Well, no. I get that.
I just need you to play with me. Just play with me, man. Come on. I'm helping you here.
Okay. Hold on.
You asked me a question. I'm trying to answer it.
No, I got you. I was more along the lines of like, what's the interest that's best for this system?
I understand that, but for me to answer that question, we need to answer this one. Okay.
Sorry, I'm having malfunction over here.
Okay.
That's all it is.
That's okay.
Well, I was trying not to interrupt and do it.
I think. Did you watch the room right from the beginning, Scott?
No, I didn't. That's
okay.
Why.
Go back and watch the full YouTube video. I think you'll get it.
Okay.
Okay.
Because,
so here's the number I'm looking for. 1247.85. If I divide that by 2, I'm going to save $623 in interest if I prepay $430. Okay.
Yeah.
If I cut my $430 by 2, now I have $215. You ask, where do I get the money from? Okay. I only have $215 to work with. So I divide this by 2 again. Okay. That still saves me $311 in interest. If I take my $215 and divide it by 2, I don't have $107. I'm going to divide this by 2 again. That still saves me $155. And if I take my $107 that I have to prepay, I don't have $107. I have half that. I'm going to take my $107 divided by 2 again. I have $53. How much is $53 going to save me in interest? I'll divide this by 2 again.
Half.
There you go. It'll save me half. So what am I asking you? If I prepay $53, it saves me almost $80 in interest. Is it worth it?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's kind of where we're going with this. You don't need much money to save
No,
interest.
that makes sense. Okay,
so now,
so
what's
it's
your
more
next
about-
question? Now, and
It's more about canceling the interest than it is taking down your payments. I mean, the payments are still gonna be 30 years worth of payments. Right?
no, it's not.
But
by the time I'm done, it's
or-
going to be 7 years.
Oh,
Yes.
well, and that's the thing is, but don't I want to keep my interest around? I mean, don't I want to have that kind of debt? I mean, that's good debt, really.
It is.
I mean,
It is. So here's my next question. So every year you have that mortgage. If you have mortgage interest that you qualify for a tax deduction, you want to get that, right?
Yeah.
So let me ask you.
No, I heard you go over that part.
Right. Do you want your tax deduction for 30 years or do you want it for 7?
Well, I guess 7.
Exactly.
Because, I mean, I don't know. I cannot wrap my head around getting rid of this really low interest loan, though.
Well, but here's the thing. It's a low interest loan does not mean low interest cost. Wrap your mind around that.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
That's what I'm.
Does that help?
Yeah.
And
But even getting rid of it
yeah.
sooner. I mean, are you just saying it's for the purpose of so that I can refi cash out or whatever?
There you go.
Sooner. Okay.
So you get it sooner and
right.
cheaper.
All right. I'm with it.
So Scott, here's the thing.
And the affiliate thing, I'm all about it because I got people with high interest and stuff that is. So for me, it's not. It doesn't calculate as beneficial or it doesn't seem as beneficial. But I have people that are 7-8% on 800,000. I'm out here in California. I don't know where you're at, but
right. I'm in Huntsville. I'm in Huntsville, Alabama. And Jaman, I'm just trying to bring you up. I'm sorry I missed you, but I'm trying to bring him up. But go ahead, Scott.
Well, and I'll be short about this.
Go ahead. But take as long as you want.
The affiliate thing is important because I think a lot of people can save with this method that you're talking about. I was just trying to kind of understand does it matter the interest rate, and is there ones that would be better than others? I guess is my final.
All right. Well, here's the final question. Now, right now, for investors, you're going to be maybe between, let's say you're at 7 to 9% interest rate. And most people are looking at those interest rates and says, I don't want to pay that. And here's what I'm trying to tell you. I love the higher interest rates. If the deal makes money, give me a higher interest rate. The reason why I say that is because it gives me a lower principal payment. The higher the interest rate, the lower the principal payment. On the 18% mortgage that I showed before, okay, our principal payment was $14, $15, and $16. I can get rid of a whole lot of debt for $184. I can get rid of a whole lot of payments with that. Do you see what I mean? For just $184 because the principal payments are so small. So keep this in mind. Control the principal payment and you control the loan. And the reason why it's hard to wrap our minds around it is because it goes against everything we've ever been taught about how these loans work. So we will keep the loans forever. And when you said, I can have that good debt, which it is good debt, because if we're using it to make money, it's good debt, right? At 3% interest rate, I'm looking at the interest rate, but the investor is making 51% on this loan because I'm taught to keep it for as long as I can so I can keep that interest rate, so I can get the tax deduction, so I can pay $1 to the bank in interest and get 27 cents back from the government on my mortgage interest deduction. How does that affect how much money the bank is making when the government is the one giving me back the 27 cents? It doesn't hurt the bank at all. In fact, they are the ones who are promoting the idea that the longer I have the debt, I can deduct that mortgage interest. And there's something wrong with getting out of the debt early because I lose the mortgage interest deduction. Somebody is teaching that, but they're not telling the whole story. And that's why it seems so, the term is, I can lose the name of the term, but I'll think of it in a minute. But cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance. What Donna's saying makes sense on one hand, but on the other hand, it goes against everything I've ever been taught. And then there's a disconnect there. And says, I got to go against all of this to start thinking differently about this. And there's two ways to handle cognitive dissonance, mainly. One is go back to the way you've always been doing things. The other way is change and do something different and possibly better. That's how most people deal with cognitive dissonance. Look it up. So I get it. Everybody that's in here, I get it. I really do. That I can't hardly wrap my mind around it because no one else is talking about it. But you know what? I like to watch documentaries. I don't know. I'm crazy like that. But when I see a documentary on inventions, every valuable invention that we have today, when it was invented, most everybody hated it. Okay? Most everybody hated it. Does anybody have a loaf of bread in their house right now? Put a number 9 in the chat. Do you have a loaf of bread in your house right now? Put a number 9 in the chat if you do. Okay? Guess what? Is it sliced? Is it sliced? Because if your loaf of bread is sliced, do you realize when they first started slicing bread, everybody hated it? They hated the idea of sliced bread. Did you realize when you ask somebody for if they had transportation, when it comes to transportation, people ask, what would you like if in terms of transportation? Everybody says, I would like a faster horse, not a motor-driven car. Let me ask you this question. Ulcers. What causes ulcers in human beings? Put it in the chat. Let me see what you put in. What causes ulcers in human beings? What do you think? What causes ulcers? What have we been told? Scott Robinson says stress. Okay? Scott Robinson says stress. Okay, people are saying stress. Did you know a guy back in the 70s, he's from Australia, okay? Let me see here. Let me see if I can pull up the notes. Okay, ulcers. All right, it's not under that. Okay, there's a doctor in the 70s from Australia. They discovered that ulcers are actually caused by a bacteria. Yeah. Okay. H. pylori. Look it up. H. pylori causes ulcers. And back in the 70s, I mean, up to then, everybody thought it was ulcers. And how do you treat ulcers? With surgery. But when these two guys I'm talking about in the outback in Australia. Two little guys and said, "Listen, no, it's caused by a bacteria." Nobody believed them. The whole world came down on these guys. The whole world came down on them. But, and you know how he finally proved that what causes ulcers? He actually had to mix up a batch of the H. pylori, all right, of the bacteria, and drink it down. And then when he got ulcers, they scoped his stomach and proved that he had ulcers. And then how did he cure himself? With Bismol, or the stuff that they make Pepto-Bismol from, and cured himself. Took the data, wrote it up in a paper, and it was still years before people accepted it as truth. And they discovered this in the 70s. And then in 2005, they finally won the Nobel Prize for their work. Bismuth. Okay, so, thank you, Jovetta. It is called bismuth. And she knows the whole story. H. pylori. Thank you, Jovetta. So listen, what I'm talking about, folks, when something comes out new, I mean, that's so different, it's hard to wrap your mind around it because nobody else is talking about it. But that doesn't make it any less true. Believe your eyes. Believe your brain. Believe the numbers that you saw on the screen, because they are true. They really are true. And I've been doing this 18 years. And when you Google pill method, and when you Googled my name, Don Daniel, and pill method, guess what you will not find? You will not find one negative word about me, what I teach, or the pill method from anybody who's ever actually tried it and talked to me. You might find one or two articles out there from people who have never talked to me. All right. But you won't find anything negative about this, about what I do or what we've been teaching for the last 18 years. You know what else you won't find? On our Better Business Bureau, we have an A+ rating of Better Business Bureau and not one complaint. Not one complaint. Why is that?
What does P.I.L.L stand for?
P.I.L.L stands for prepayment of principal, isolating the principal amount, leverage, and liquidity. Go over, today is Sunday. Go over Friday's. You want to take a look at Friday's show? I broke it all down on Friday. Yeah. How to pill method your way to, better life. Debt freedom. Pill method your way to debt freedom. Something like that. Okay. Eric Toom says, I have chewable bismuth within arm's reach. Any other questions? Anybody else want to come to the stage? Go ahead.
If I want to schedule a one-on-one with you, how do I go about doing that, Don?
You can, let me put the phone number in. You can call 269 I'm sorry, not 269, 256. I am so sorry. 256 886, and I'm putting it in the chat. 256 886 1867. And you can schedule a 1 hour with me for $150.
Okay.
Okay.
Cool, thank you.
Now, if you call today, all you're going to get is a receptionist. And they may try to put the call through to me. Sometimes, I keep some Sunday hours, but yeah, you can schedule a 1 hour for $150 for an initial consultation. And then you can ask all the questions you want that relate to you specifically, and we'll see how we can help. Okay.
Sounds good.
You're so welcome. Anybody else have any other questions for me today? Raise your hand, come to the stage, put it in the chat. I haven't been reading anything in the chat. Jovetta says, very informative. We'll listen, absorb, and again, listen. You have to hear it several times. All right. Bacteria, stress. Okay, there we go. Got some 9s in here. Eric Toom says, this by far is the best paradigm shift I've ever had. I have no regrets about the mind shift. Oh, Eric means, Eric is actually a client. All right. Says, and AJ says, don't be afraid of interest rate. You got that right. Don't be afraid of interest rate. You need to just control interest cost. And we have a much more control over that than people will allow us to believe. So trueog.com, in general, you can deduct the mortgage interest you paid during the tax year on the first $750,000 of your mortgage debt for the primary house or second home. So there's some more good information there. Okay. But here's the thing. So keep this in mind. If you do qualify, you're still going to make 12 payments a year on your mortgage. We're not reducing the number of mortgage payments you make per year. We're just reducing the number of years you have to make 12 payments. Does that make sense? Don't make them for 30 years, ladies and gentlemen. Just make it for about 7. Okay? That's what we're saying.
One other question I have is there a calculator that will tell me how fast? So instead of 7 years, like let's say I make a payment of, instead of paying the principal for 1 year, if I pay like 3 or 4 months of principal payments, how long the payoff is going to be?
Yes.
Like if it goes from 7 to like 8 or 9 or whatever number of years.
And it's free. It's called bankrate.com. Here's the thing though. Everything out there focuses on how fast to pay off the debt, but not how cheaply you pay off the debt. You pay too much at the wrong time. That's called violating the law of diminished return. Please look that up. When you violate the law of diminished return, that means your more has just become too much. The idea of getting out of debt is how much interest can I save per dollar? When you put too much on, the amount of interest you can save per dollar starts to go down. Think of it this way. If the maximum amount of interest I can save right now is $6 in interest for every dollar, I don't want to do anything, even put more money down to reduce that to $4 in interest for every dollar. And I can show you the math on that all day. You want to put the least amount to get the most. Don't think you're doing yourself a favor by giving the most amount. Can I give you a quick example of this? And I've told this story before, but was that you, AJ?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me give you.
You took me my example, but yeah.
Yeah. Let me give you an example of this. Here's a guy here in Huntsville, Alabama, because that's where our main office is, here in Huntsville. Okay. We have another office in Salt Lake City, Utah. That's where the computers live and customer services in Salt Lake City. All right. So here's a guy. He is using our system, our coaching, and our cloud-based AI-powered computing system called the P.I.L.L method opportunity cost calculator. He's an engineer. He's making pretty good money, but he's making even more money now. Okay. When he put into the program that he's making more money, the program directed him on how much money to put towards his debt. Now, with the more money he's making, he can pay off his entire indebtedness of $260,000 in just 3.5 years. And it calculates how much interest he has left to pay, $16,000. He was so elated when he gave me that information. I told him, you're paying off the house too fast and you're not paying enough interest. That's what I told him. He said, I thought that was the idea. I said, now, with that extra money you're making, I need you to go back to the program and input that you're making $2,000 a month less. Get this, everybody. Make $2,000 a month less, and the program will recalculate your instructions. So now, instead of 3.5 years, he's going to be out of debt in 6.5 years. Instead of $16,000 in interest, he's going to pay $20,000 in interest, $4,000 more. He says, how is that better? I said, well, what is it that you really want to do? He says, well, I want to get out of debt in 3.5 years. He says, well, what would you have to do? He says, I would have to put that $2,000 a month back into my calculator. Okay. And I said, for 3.5 years? He said, yes. So that's 36 months plus 6 months. That's 42 months of $2,000 a month. Yeah. So how much is that? 42 months times $2,000 a month. Put it in the chat, somebody. 42 months times $2,000 a month. How much money is that? I'm waiting to see it. We'll see if somebody's going to put it in there. I'm waiting. Come on, somebody. 42 months times $2,000, $84,000. Correct. $84,000. So now, this is what I asked him. Do you want to pay $84,000 so you can save an additional $4,000 in interest, going from 20,000 back down to 16,000? What do you think he said, AJ? $84,000 just to save $4,000.
Probably said no.
He probably said no. He did say no. He did say no. I said, well, why do you want to pay off the house so early? He says, because I want to build our brand new house. I said, well, shoot, if you paid it down that far, why don't you just go ahead and build your house now? He says, because I've been putting so much money into prepaying on this house, I don't have the prepayment saved up. I said, yes, you do. He says, where? Where do you think he has it, AJ? In the equity.
From his job?
No, in the equity of this house.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
So I said, go out and get a HELOC, home equity line of credit. So he got a HELOC, got his $70,000 to put down on his $700,000 house from the HELOC, and built that house because of some construction delays due to the fact that it was a custom built house, and getting materials in. The house was delayed in getting built. By the time it was finished, the house next door sold for $900,000. And he put a renter in the old house. Both houses now are going to be paid off in about 10 years using this program. Ha! So nice. There's a point at which more is going to be too much. All right. Any other questions?
Yeah, answer my question. I had a question.
Go ahead, Jaman.
How everybody doing? I had a question, the same what you just answered about paying it off, like say paying it off for 7 years, the principal, but you just answered it about paying it off too soon.
Yes, sir.
I have a house that I've been paying for like 7 years, and I'm like, man, I've been hearing about how to pay your house off, but pay the interest off. I just didn't know how the basis of everything went together.
Yes.
You kind of broke it down today and gave me more insight. So I'm like, man, that's dope. That's dope.
Listen, man, we're just giving the basics here. But when you get into the program for real, we're looking at how can I use my money and optimize it. I want to squeeze every penny I can for what I can get out of it. I want to put every dollar to work, and I want that dollar to work as hard as it can. Because I tell you what, right now, okay, I'm going to check the gas prices on the way home for Gas Buddy. And I'm going to find out on my gas stations on my way home, I'm going to find out who's giving me the best deal. Right? And if you're like most people I know, you will stop. If all those gas stations are on the way home, you're going to stop at the one that's going to save you the most money, even if it's a penny. And if you have a 17-gallon tank, you're going to make, and even if you're completely empty, you're going to make a choice on which gas station to stop at for 17 cents. We pay more attention to that 1 penny or 2 pennies we pay on gas than we pay attention to the 150 to 200,000 extra dollars we're going to pay in interest because we're not paying attention to it. So That's what we're trying to bring to everybody, folks. This
Makes
is what we're
sense.
bringing to the. So, who's next?
I do have one quick question. The program you mentioned with that one example, the guy that was making a lot of money,
Yes, sir.
is that available for free, or is that once I get into the program?
No, that's not available for free. That
Okay.
is our opportunity cost calculator. And if you go to our YouTube channel, you can search opportunity cost calculator, and there is a 23-minute video on it. And I can put that link in the chat if you want.
All right.
Okay.
Cool. Thank
Yeah, sure. So let me go to that. Go to YouTube and find that link. So opportunity cost calculator, here it is. And find, okay. All right. I want to share that. Copy the link. Here is, it's a 23-minute video. Paste it. Oh man, why doesn't this thing isn't working right again? Hold on for a second. It's gonna take me a minute to be able to share this. Hold on. All right. Return, paste. There it is. Okay, let's paste it here for you. All right, that's the link for the opportunity cost calculator. Check it out. It's 23 minutes, gives you an idea of what we're doing. This is by far the most powerful debt reduction, wealth building, money management system on the planet right now, because it's the only one that takes into account making sure you pay the least amount of interest that's mathematically possible. The reason why we need to focus there is this. If all of your debt was 0% interest, is there any financial benefit to paying off a 0% interest loan early? Is there any financial benefit to it?
No.
No, it isn't. So then why does every program out there focus on how fast to pay off what you owe and not even give you any information on how to save the interest? The interest has always been the problem. So we have given you a solution to the real problem. In fact, with the P.I.L.L method, we answer questions about finances most people don't even know to ask yet because they're not focusing on the interest cost. They're only focused on the interest rate and how much they borrowed. Manage the interest cost. Man, you listen, you take complete control of your money at that point. Anybody else?
Can this work on other loans too, or just mortgages?
It works on all loans that carry interest. All loans.
Okay.
All
I don't have,
loans.
but
Yep.
I drive a 25-year-old car,
Mm-hmm.
and I do penny pinching, like, you know, the gas buddy and all that shit.
Yeah.
But this was the only thing that so that's why this is blowing my mind right now.
I get it. But when you go to our program, all right, and you click on that link from ice10k.com, that link at the top, ice10k.com, when you click on that, you will see that you can get a savings and earnings report. When you're putting in your financial information, you can put in every loan that you have. Don't leave anything out. Credit cards, car loans, student loans. So here's what we could do for most of our clients. If you have car loans and student loans and personal loans and mortgage and student loans, our clients who work with us can be out of debt in an average of 7 to 9 years on all of it. And we do this listen, we're bringing on new clients every single month, and they come in like you. I can't hardly believe it until I just talked with a client that came on about 2 months ago. They've already saved $67,000 in interest. They'll never have to pay the bank already. $67,000 in interest. They'll never have to pay the bank. They are elated, but they're also flabbergasted. that it is possible to do it. Yes. Anything else, AJ?
Oh no, I'm gonna start watching the videos, probably check out the book, and then I look forward to speaking with you with the consultation.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
My assistant is calling me. Hold on. I think I'm missing an appointment because I was in here too long. Hold on. Hello.
Are you on with your 11 o'clock?
Uh-oh. I gotta go, folks. Okay. Yeah, I'll get on right now. Sorry.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Thanks a lot, man. I appreciate it.
Folks, that was my
Thanks.
assistant. I gotta go. I went overtime. I am so sorry.
Thanks. I'll call your consultant.
All right, so listen, do that, and 256-886-1867. More information, go to ice10k.com. We're going to hear from let's see, Dr. Eric Thomas as we say goodbye, and I'll see you guys back in here on Wednesday. Thank you so much for showing up.
Listen to me, y'all. But one of his mentees took us through one of their programs, and I paid off my mortgage. But guess what happened? My marriage went to a whole nother level. And you know why? Because my wife is a security freak. And even when I blew up, my wife would be like, oh, you blew up, but how long is you gonna keep making this kind of money? I was like, I don't know, forever. She's like, you sure? Because I'm gonna keep my license as a nurse just in case you don't. So when I paid the house off, my boy was like, you ain't gotta do that, you can do this. But when I paid the house off using that program, it took the stress level all the way down for my wife because we no longer had a mortgage. Does that make sense? That thing that was coming every month, that was getting on her nerves, we didn't have that no more. And so she was at rest.